the police is only an arm of the white power structure, used very similar as their military force, which it is a military force. It's their local police, and you have the National Guard as the national police, and then you have the regular military as the international police. And these police are used to occupy our community just as a foreign troop occupies territory. They don't live in our community, the police, and they have no respect for black people who live in the community, yet they occupy the community. And they're not occupying the community for the welfare and the benefit of the people who live there. They're occupying it to make sure that the businessmen who are systematically robbing our community are safe.
Tell me what's your occupation with all the time and resources you wasting. Where every day we fight for one right to live, it's not like we living life like immigration. You keep telling us to be patient, change is coming, but we tired of just waiting. While you gun us down in public and hate you, we still living in the modern day enslavement. Tell me what's your occupation, pity why Trump is fucking up the nation. We living in a different era than from back then when we was all under Reagan. Engaging in politics and never solving shit. And since they birth, they've been racist. And in the race that we raise the black face off the face of the earth, why they so full of hatred. And what's even worse, status like they got us all caught up in the matrix. We caged and can't escape, be deporting foreigners and banning immigration. Just saying, what's the difference between ISIS and ICE? There is none, they both terrorizing life. The president is gonna make us all pay for that war. And genocide is the price, so we can pretend that it's cool. Protest a set of views and grow a set of testicles. Present the truth and then let us choose. Instead of believing what's said in the news. What we need is a bunch of better schools. Community where we police our own. But by the way it's looking, we headed into martial law soon to be forced to leave our homes. They put us on the ground and cuff us, flood us and hold us undercut. They want us to drown, it's scary. Every time I close my eyes, I see them gunning another one of us down. We barely breathing in the sense, even my fans believe in the Willie Lynch theory. Got us thinking that we all free, but ain't seen freedom since I don't know when, so I'm leery. Really, what's your occupation, huh? With all this bullshit that we facing, huh? Hate to say it, but we may not have a safe place for our babies to raise them up. Eradicating life to racism. And I ain't blaming all Caucasians, nah. It's not about a black or white thing, it's whoever the race is being taken from us. With all the time and resources you wasting, where every day we fight for one right to live, it's not like we living life like immigration. You keep telling us to be patient, change is coming, but we tired of just waiting. While you gun us down in public and hate you, we still living in the modern day enslavement. Tell me what's your occupation, with all the time and resources you wasting, where every day we fight for one right to live, it's not like we living life like immigration. You keep telling us to be patient, change is coming, but we tired of just waiting. While you gun us down in public and hate you, we still living in the modern day enslavement. And we not gonna
My occupation is to stop the hatred that y'all create. We fighting for our rights and obligations. They took control over our population. I speak up for me and the nation. Declaration versus gentrification. No emancipation, no proclamation. Fighting Uncle Sam over our wages. We need them raises. Coming straight up out the basement. Build it up into the pavement. Peep the lessons, how we seek success and entertainment. Kill each other, they be famous. Fighting modern day enslavement. All the poverty's a king. The cops be out here living racist. Graveyard to the day shift. Cause the hustle feed the young one in bay rent. I ain't superstition, it's clues I'm giving. Like the new eugenics or euthanism. The truth I'm spitting, jump in the proof I'm giving. The proof I'm really hoping that you for listen. Newest drug, the internet, you addicted. Tell my haters Jesus, they crucifix him. I'ma preach to you through the music business. Keep on teaching them cause they do forget it. Innocent, but they making you the victim. Gentrifying places the crew be living. Misleading students in the schooling system is superficial, but still a sure fit you. They took us out of our land. EBT keep us eating up out of a can. They work supply and demand. CIA locked us in with the King outfit plan.
What's your occupation, with all the time and resources you wasting, where every day we fight for one right to live, it's not like we living life like immigration. You keep telling us to be patient, change is coming, but we tired of just waiting. While you gun us down in public and hate you, we still living in the modern day enslavement. Tell me what's your occupation, with all the time and resources you wasting, where every day we fight for one right to live, it's not like we living life like immigration. You keep telling us to be patient, change is coming, but we tired of just waiting. While you gun us down in public and hate you, we still living in the modern day enslavement. And we not gonna take
In America, black people are treated very much as the Vietnamese people or any other colonized people because we're brutalized. The police in our community occupy our area, our community as a foreign troop occupies territory. And the police are there not to, in our community, not to promote our welfare
or for our security and our safety, but they're there to contain us, to brutalize us and murder us, because they have their orders to do so.
What's good, beautiful people? Live in the building. Got a lot to discuss tonight. Let me make sure it's looking clean. The constant fight to get the settings right and everything right. Like I said, I'm working on that to make sure my presentation comes off as best as possible. If you're new to the channel, shout out to you. If you've been here, shout out to you even more. You know, everything we got going on and everything we're going to be having going on is largely due to people like you supporting what we have going on. So I'm thankful to have you as in the audience. Is it looking sharp? And let me grab my, let me turn that around so I can get a label. But so tonight, Black liberation, y'all. Black liberation. What does that mean in 2020? So many people are coming into consciousness. That you can drop some volume, son. So many people coming into consciousness and becoming aware of who they are and developing a new sense of self. And, now they're getting introduced to Black liberation and what it really means to be about Black liberation, as a lifestyle, as a mentality, as someone who presents the principles in every day of their life and everything they do. That's not easy. And welcome to the family. Cheers to you. Cheers to you coming aboard. And now that you are on board and you're here, glad to have you here. But we got to be clear about what it means to have a liberation mindset, to be about liberating Black people, liberating us against everything that's keeping us from being able to be successful. And that's a two-part fight. One, we got to fight the world that we have, and everything that comes around in this world. The next part of the fight, of course, is within our minds. The things that's programmed, the actions and the ideas we have, and the mentalities that we possess. These are the things that we have to fight against and to attack to get us to that next level. What is the next level? It's a question many people, I don't even think a lot of people have even delved into that concept of what's the next level? What does it mean? I remember when I was younger and I first got into the concept of Black power, my pops asked me early on, what you gonna do without the white man? And I was like, cold ass question is that? How solid question is that? And he was like, no, if you really talking about independence and liberation, you got to be able to develop everything you need for your people. And that's independence and that's responsibility. And putting yourself in a position where you depend on yourself to create for yourself so that way you can promote yourself and push yourself and progress your people. That's got to be right here within your mind and your body. And it's not something that's easy. Dedicating your life day in, day out. A lot of people, it's like a fashion statement. It's like a fake tattoo you can throw on and wash off. I'm Black today, but in the mix of most of what the stuff I got going on, I'm just me, and that's, that's not going to work. You have to, for where we're going, you got to have this as a full-time career path. All aspects of your life need to be fully dedicated to the liberation of your people, to the furtherance of your people, to the enhancement of your people. That's what America is about. It's against the law not to be damn near progressive. I mean, especially in New York, if you ain't doing nothing with your life, that's an issue. You know, it's in the best interest of a country to make sure that its constituents are productive. You know, a lot of people, when they talk about, you know, the government, you know, selling social security and stuff like that for in place of gold and trading it instead of gold. I think it was a gamble based on the intellectual capacity of the nation and the fact that intelligence is worth way more than gold. Oh yeah. Oh. Ooh. Intelligence is worth way more than gold. I said that. You know, and the weight of the burdens that the intelligence carries, you know, the maturity that must be displayed at all times to know that, you know, we are about uplifting our people. We do have people that's coming in who are about Black empowerment, who just got introduced to it, and now they're, you know, they're coming into terms with what Black liberation is. You know, they you know, I'm drifting a little bit. You know, I don't know what day it is, but they're coming to terms with what Black liberation is. They're finding out what it means. They're learning what it is, and it's like, all right, I want to be about Black power. I want to be around people that's about Black power. You got to do your research, you know, because it's not that simple to just say I'm not gonna, you know, spend money with white businesses, or I'm gonna limit how much money I spend with white businesses. I'm gonna focus on investing in myself as a Black community. I'm gonna be a steadfast, you know, a consistent example of what a dedicated person looks like. They gonna want him over there with the food. I ain't gonna lie, they going over here. A dedicated example of what it means to be about Black liberation. That's not easy. You know, it's not easy. You know, for the most part, people do that part-time. You know, people do that part-time, and it's easy to do this part-time. You know, it's easy to jump in and be like, I'm pro-Black on the weekend, and, you know, I'm getting some land in Africa, or I'm taking a trip to diaspora, or I do weekend or summertime trips to, you know, commit. Not, you know, not to diminish anybody, you know, that's doing that, debates what anybody those actions, but the consistency that's needed to get us to that next level. You know, the ties that have to be made, the unities, or the connections that have to be, you know, founded. All of that takes time, takes dedication, takes a level of investment that most people aren't ready for when they talk about Black empowerment. You know, and when they think about Black liberation, their concept is mostly like, we want to do what white people do. You know, that's not, I may have a goal keeping me cool, but it's a war we at. I choose to be poised and calm and collected. We at war. You know, and when we consider the realities that our community is consistently facing, and the lack of leadership in light of those realities, the lack of leadership that's able to, you know, manifest plans or organizations or whatever it is, that's the reality we are in. And so I sleep and eat and dream Black empowerment. You know, and it's difficult to not think like that for me. And everything I have and everything I see is dedicated to Black empowerment and the liberation and enhancement of Black people. I buy a light bulb. That's so I can have light in a room so we can do more stuff for Black folk. If we buy a book, it's for Black empowerment. We buy sneakers, it's for Black empowerment. If I'm trying to look good, I'm swagging so Black empowerment look good.
We been saving. Why? So we could do more for Black empowerment. We investing. Why? So we could do more for Black empowerment. That's what Black liberation is. Non-stop, consistent dedication to the empowerment of our people. You know what I'm saying? Let me slide like that. Had to get in the door. Yeah, so the dedicated, consistent focus on Black empowerment. That's what it's going to take to get us to the next stage. Not, slipping, sliding, flipping, flopping, weekend warriors that think they're dedicated to the movement, but the first chance they get, they slip and slide. This isn't easy. Those that are focused on Black liberation aren't in a position that people are looking for, like white folks. They are working on being in a better position. Logic, what up, King? Is this looking good, Logic? Am I sounding good, Logic? Logic, let me know, King. I see you in the chat. Shout out my big y'all, Logic, babe. Day one right there. Let me know, am I looking good, Logic? I know you man critical, babe. That's I need you right there. Let me know, is it looking good? Is it sounding good? Let me know, man, because I know that's you. You know what I'm saying? Cheers. And that's a brother that helped me in many ways understand my community from the floor. And that's, we get our nose in the air, we get caught up on our pedestals of thought, and we don't realize that the higher we put ourselves on the pedestal, the further we get away from people. And the understanding that's going to take to actually empower our people. And I meet a lot of pedestal warriors who really have a vision in their head of Black empowerment. And when they meet the real world, it's like, oh man, I can't get anybody to show up. Oh, I've been trying to do this, I can't do that. Oh, nobody's listening to me. And it's like, nah, bro, that's not the real world, man. You got to figure out how to do this for the people. You got to understand where the people is at and be able to be steadfast no matter what's going on. The fortitude that you got to exude at all times is a must. That's a requirement to get into this. You can't get into this. You can't come around somebody like me and complain about Black people and the fact that, they're not supporting, they complaining. I would look at you like you're crazy. What you sign up for? And I got that from my mentor. You know what I mean? I was working with kids this years ago, and I got jumped by my students. Richard Green told me this. He looked at me and said, look, man, it is what it is. Our people are sick. You getting in the trenches. What you think gonna happen? Next time, be prepared. And so when I had a situation this semester and a student kind of moved in a similar way, I immediately removed them, and I had to reflect on that. Like, I ain't play with that situation, because at the end of the day, like, look, I got jumped before, and I was playing like I was on a pedestal with white folks. Like, no, let me act like this. Let me not do what I was taught to do and raised to do. No, I let them get ahead, and that's what gave them the edge to get against me. And so, like, when I told Tommy Sotomayor, your defense is your responsibility. Just like boxing, it's your responsibility to defend yourself at all times. That's the world we live in. You don't have the right not to defend yourself. I mean, unless you would like to see the next line. And we get caught up in these spaces. Yeah, I got jumped out. Well, it was one of my students and his friend. This was like 12 years ago. And I learned a lot from that situation because, again, Black liberation. When I first brought him in and I had him work in the studio, and he had nowhere to stay, let him stay in the studio, whatever, stuff like that, and his friends always coming by. It was cool. And then when one day he messed up some equipment at his friend's there, and I mean, I wilded out. He did this step to me, and I picked him up, threw him across the room, took my belt off. I was like, wild on anybody, and because I understood, like, you don't get no chances, like, nah. And so when I got around white folks and around the soul people, they was like, nah, this is why you shouldn't have even brought them in. You shouldn't have did that. You know, this is why, you know, you got to keep it professional. You know, and I'm looking at them like, that little motherfucker need his ass whooped. This black empowerment. That motherfucker had no parents, nobody in his house, nobody worked with him. He should have got his ass whooped. The opportunities I was presenting with him would have changed his life. And it did change his life. He later on came back and apologized and this and that. Of course, I couldn't work with him, but that is the story, how it's turned around. And I got to understand my passion, because you sit next to me, like my people that sitting there that bang, or people that get involved. Why do they jump me? Well, his friend stole somebody's iPhone, and the person he sold his phone from was a really good client of mine, a good friend, and he later became somebody that helped me in multiple studios. And he was like he's a biracial kid. He had freckles on his face, black, you know, but he had freckles, real fair skin. And, you know, it wasn't like somebody that looked tough, and it was somebody that wasn't that looked tough, and they took advantage of him, played him, like, you know, your iPhone, act like they gave it back, and took it. So I banned them from the studio. I'm in a session, I'm on a day off, I'm paid day off, the studio is booked out, both studios is booked out through the day. So I'm talking about, that was like a $600-700 day. I'm chill. And I didn't even have to do no work. Like, it's booked up. There's a session there. So the young dude comes in and he has his boy in there. And I'm like, yo, what you doing? Like, you gotta go. And he's like, nah, Q, I told you he ain't steal nothing. And I'm like, yo, mom, man. So right then and there, my pops flashed in my head again. Anytime my pops flashed in my head, I don't doubt what he says now. He told me to smash his pumpkin. And my pops then said, smash his pumpkin. Like, he was standing in the hallway, and my pop's mom came to me. He's like, look, right now, take his face, smash it in the wall, knock him out, and immediately knock out his mans. Drag him downstairs, wash him some more. Then the white folks was on my shoulder like, Q, you know, be calm. You can't be mean. You can't be like that with them. So then he runs and takes to the room and takes my laptop. And I'm looking at him like, this is crazy. And he just runs past the laptop. And then they come past, and I'm like, it's crazy. So then that's when my pop's mom came in here. You never let nobody get the edge on you. Never let nobody get the edge on you. So that's your life. You set boundaries, and once you set that boundary, you live with it. That's just that. You always take first strike. My pops told me that. That's just what it is. And so I gave up that first strike capability. Then when I moved down the hallway, I was talking to him, and the other one came from the side, and I know the other one was already in the room. It got spicy, and then I had another opportunity right then. My pops talked to me again. He said, do not hold back, wild out. But I was looking at my equipment. I was looking at them. I was just like, this is crazy. Like, and it just, guard went down again. Boom. Sun hit me from the side. It was on and popping for like, I don't know, 10 minutes. It was not a good look, you know what I'm saying? And that situation turned into another one. They wanted to kill the little kids. Police got involved. I had to beg the police not to lock them up. I had to beg dudes in the streets not to lock them up. I had to beg the school not to suspend them. This is literally, this is what I had to do. I had to beg the police not to lock. Marsha's right there. She'll tell you. Marsha was mad. I had the studio was filled like in 7 minutes with dudes with guns, begging me to kill these kids. Begging me. I'm like, hell no. I go to work. They're like, who did it? We got to suspend them, throw them out of school. I'm like, hell no. The police is like, look, we can get your laptop back, but we got to lock everybody up. I'm like, hell no. And I literally got through that situation. Nobody got touched, no revenge situated. His life was fucked up. The other dudes was like fucked up. I do be thinking about, retaliating, but that's because of the ego side of it. Because at the end of the day, I'll be like, look, can we just do that again? Like, y'all three against me, but let's do it fair this time. Y'all three against me, and we just gonna do that to do that. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn how not to be a little bitch. At the time, my life was putting me in a little weird, conscientious. I'm smart, I'm conscious, I'm above the streets and shit like that. I had to learn, like, you're not above the motherfucking streets. You're not above the wolves. You're not above the jungle. You are the jungle. And if you're not prepared to be eaten, then what the fuck is you doing? You eating. That's just the world we live in. And that's what black liberation is. So don't bring your kids around me and expect them to disrespect me, and I don't walk their ass the fuck up out of here. Quick. And if they don't leave, they'll be dragged the fuck up out of here. And I'll be damned if I gotta call the police on anybody's fucking kid because they didn't respect me telling them to get the fuck up out of here. Know your parents. Know anybody else in the movement should be able to disrespect anybody around you. Especially when it comes to things as important as the movement. You got elders that's putting on in the streets, doing stuff for the community, not getting no type of homage, no type of work getting put in for them, and they done had all types of things done to them, atrocious things done to them. And they still pushing. With all the spit they got put in their face, all the different stuff thrown in they lap. Still pushing. You gotta respect that. And that's what Robert Greene told me. Because when he built his institute in Crown Heights, it got robbed several times. He got robbed at gunpoint, knife point, bats, by the same people he was helping. And he said, that's because this is a war in the minds of our people who have been taught to be the enemy of our people. Richard Greene. And so I learned that quick. So there's nothing to go against. Like, it's nothing. And that's why when I got introduced to the community, it's like, yo, like, look, B, I don't want you, I do not promote violence. But I understand that's the world we live in. That's just what it is. You can be driving in your car one day, get into a random road rage with somebody, and that man is whooping your ass. You can be making a left turn, somebody pulling a gun out on you. You can be a female going to the club, going to the ATM, you got a dude trying to rape you. It's the world we live in. And if all of we talking about how much we hate the police, y'all better be happy with the police. That's what's keeping the wolves from being wolves. Talk about it. And so unless you want the police to help the wolves, you got to be a wolf. I don't fuck with the police. My doors is open in the bed. My doors is open in Harlem. Doors is open in Crown Heights after and day and before, day and after. And so that's just the reality it is. And so black liberation requires that. This isn't a suit and tie conversation. You might have to get dirty. I went to California the first time. I met a brother out there. I don't mess with the church, but I mess with people who do work for the community. I don't care what your faith is. Brother out there feeding people every day, 5 o'clock, religiously, no pun intended, and non-stop feeding. No help. And I immediately started volunteering, cleaning up, picking up garbage, whatever it is. We in the world. What are y'all doing? There's only a photo op. Yeah, I know I try to come up here with my stuff going on, but this is about far as it go. Might have some sneakers. I already give a rat's ass about fashion, but I understand that goes in accordance with making black power look good. So we need to do that. But the reality is, we got to always be in wolf mode. So I can't play around with anybody. You might be used to that. We gotta be, black liberation is face value. All of this behind the scenes, big biting, weirdo talk shit is whack. I was on my sister check, Grandmaster J, she raised all that money. Me, shout out my sister, make you know that. All that money for Grandmaster J. And then here he go, thinking that he can talk crazy about one of her, somebody he don't know that she know, and think it's cool. Like, and she brought it right to his face, like, yo, my man, you said this. This is how it's supposed to be. We gotta call a spade a spade. Yo. You know what I'm saying? Damo just walked in.
Peace to the family.
So if we not about handling what we have to do for our people. Yeah, Scam Master Jay. I don't know what it is that you were focused on. You know, it's really just that simple. Whether it be education, food, defense, self-defense, you know, baking, all of that goes in accordance with Black liberation. And at any moment it can change. That's the reality of somebody who's focused on Black liberation. It's a guerrilla reality. It's a reality of a gorilla. You can be in jail for the next 30 years of your life. They can come in and take your kids away, come in and take your business away, come in and poison you. I don't know what history books you've been reading. This isn't a fashion show. I want to put on a dashiki and take some pictures and all of a sudden this Black liberation? Nah. It's definitely not that. Not around here. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I gotta be mindful of those people because people be getting gun-ho, again, no pun intended, and they want to take pictures and all this extra shit, trying to act like they got Black liberation. That's a photo op. You wear that military outfit on the weekend, put your guns on, and then you back to working for your trucking company for these white folks. I'm not with the weekend warrior stuff, man. Irene is a warrior with us. Mr. Mitri, they in there day in out, day in, dealing with their people's kids, parents, situations, their family. We doing this with no budget. So if I know these people we can organize like this, I would imagine what it would look like if you put a gun into Mitri's hand. The level of organization that our team is displaying every day with little to no resources. See, the equivalency of work and ability and capacity of the ability to do work is tied hand in hand. And so taking pictures, you know, with a rifle don't show no work. So I don't even know if you can shoot. You might be straight pussy. And I'm sorry, I said that from the jump. Jam Master Jay, whatever his name is, stealing ass, he was pussy. He looked pussy as shit to me. I'm sorry. I ain't seen no wolf when I looked at him. And sometimes a wolf will look at somebody, you know, you see something wrong and you misinterpret somebody, but shit, I know I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. Wasn't wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I'll go in more on home, you know, that later on. Let's see. Homeschooling. Homeschooling. Jam Master Dan do shit for Black people. Let's be honest. Let's be freaking honest, man. So a lot of motherfuckers ain't do shit for Black people. Shut up, take pictures and take money. You ask me. So I don't get it twisted. Going past that, right? Homeschooling. Black folks across the country have been forced into homeschooling, and it's kicking Black folk ass, nonstop, kicking Black folks ass, and I love it. Those your kids. Welcome to the world that the world has been dealing with. Your kids. You can see if they you know, they have real attention issues, they can't sit still, they can't focus, if they're liars, if they're maniacal, if they're disrespectful. You about to see all of that. And so if you didn't know your kids before, you damn sure meeting their ass now. And so I love, yeah, you can DM me. I love the fact that people are really being introduced to their children now. And as you become introduced to your child, you know, and you realize that you might not have done a great job, or the world has been a lot more involved in your child's education than you might have wanted, it's a great time to actually sit back and say, you know what, I fucked up. So if you're new to homeschooling and you're realizing that your child might be kind of shitty, it's a great time to sit back and say, I fucked up. Don't blame the white man. Don't blame the school. Don't blame anybody. Say, I fucked up. And then say, what did I do to contribute to this situation? Or what didn't I do to create the situation? And then from there, the assessment will allow you to figure out what needs to be fixed. I don't want to be the introduction to your failures. I really don't want to. And for some people, it's not something that's easily regurgitated from many parents. They're like, no, my kid is not bad. My kid is not a not listener. My kid doesn't not do their work. My kid pays attention. It's like, no, your child does not pay attention. Your child is not sensitive. Your child is not a geek. Your child is not a whiz. Your child has the potential to be a lot of these things. And homeschooling is introducing a lot of parents to that. Just as much as, it's introducing people to the fact that, there's a much opportunity available for potential growth, but you got to be realistic with yourself. You see what I mean? And that's where, to me, homeschooling is starting for a lot of parents now. The reality that they might not have been doing a great job. And for those who have been doing a good job, this has nothing to do with you. For those of you who might feel like this shoe is fitting you at this portion of the video, it's okay. I am working on being a better dad. There's many moments I was not the best of the person I could have been, and I did a terrible job as a teacher, father, business owner. It's part of life. But owning those mistakes and taking accountability and then figuring out why it happened and what you can do to rectify it and keep it from happening again, that's what it's about. That's what being an adult is about, if you ask me. And so now, homeschooling. You want to make sure that you have an area in your home for your child to learn in. And let's say you have a small place and you don't have a lot of space, get a table, get a little folded table, a chair, something for them to sit at, and either some headphones. And if you need help getting it, just email me or something. I'll help you get these things. A calendar, a binder, a little 3-layer, drawer or something like that, little plastic thing so they can have this stuff organized. Folders, stickers, pencils, protractor, ruler, glue gun, soldering iron if possible, depending on their age, cutting board, magnifying glass, LED light, all of these things like that. LED light, lamps, any of these things will be great to have and should have in your home. Even if you're not homeschooling, you should have these things. And that will develop and establish a great environment for them to learn in, first and foremost. And it'll set a tone that you're serious. Because one of their responsibilities will be to maintain that area. And that teaches them like ownership of education, responsibility, and it ties responsibility to education. And it makes them, really respect that part of it. Then from there are books. You should have an assortment of math books, ELA books, social studies books, history books, science books. And if you can go by subject, if not, just go to a store and get a general education book that has a variety of subjects, within a specific topic. You know what I mean? And so that is definitely going to help out. Definitely a scientific calculator, basic lab calculator, a laptop, tablet, all of these things you should have if you're homeschooling. You're going to need, you're going to need a connection to a library, educators in your community, people who are professionals, who have areas and skill sets that they can give to your child and provide to your child. Any of these things you should have laid out for your child. Knowing the local park, the stores, these things go hand in hand with homeschooling because that's going to make the overall process of homeschooling easier, you know. And so if you just now got into it and you're like, oh yeah, I want to homeschool and they're forcing me and I want to be pro-black and the system's messing with my kid. Do you have these things I just set up? So if you don't have an area set up in your house for your child's education, you are already setting them up to fail. Mm-hmm. If you may not have a schedule for their education, you are setting them up to fail. If you don't have a Rolodex of educators in your phone already for your children, you're setting them up to fail. If you don't already have a curriculum laid out for your child, you're setting them up for fail. If you don't have a list of disciplinary actions for them so they understand what it is going to happen if they don't carry out what it is that they're supposed to do, then you're setting them up to fail. You know, so that's definitely some things I suggest. Now, in terms of curriculum, a lot of parents always have issues with curriculum. Look up your state's curriculum. I meet people who, I don't like the co-curriculum. I don't like the co-curriculum. You don't even know what it means. If you went to college, you use the co-curriculum. So let's understand that. And if you want your child to have a collegiate education, that's aligned with a core curriculum. So that's up front. Core curriculum is an alignment of topics within a specific subject. And it's not a matter of teaching style. It's to make sure that the cohesive and effective communication of a certain discipline is happening within a given region. You don't want people in Florida teaching social studies and they have a complete different curriculum than people in Georgia. How can you quantifiably say people are at a certain level? And so with us, we use the core curriculum. We have remade it for ourselves. Irene's in the chat. Damo's right here. I'm right here. Mr. Robbins is somewhere. Oh, Mr. Robbins. Damn. Mr. Robbins, text Damo's phone or somebody's phone if you're in the chat trying to get in. Shout out Mr. Robbins, Buddha Clinks. He was trying to get in. Let me know. If anybody want to come upstairs, we're going to open it up in a few. Curriculum. So, ELA. ELA is writing and reading. So if your child is like 3 years old, 2 years old, they should be learning the phonetics and basics of words, consonants, usage of vowels, recognizations of words. You don't have to try to get your word of child to be spelling encyclopedia and shit like that. You know, the foundations are the foundations. And ELA is largely about the same stuff over and over. You know, once you get to third grade, it's consistent. Inference of text, understanding of text, understanding compare and contrast, you know, what's the author's tone, understanding the author's message, you know, informal versus formal, you know, types of speech, you know, organization of speech, organization of text, syntax, you know, all of this is basics. This does not stop. And so that's basic ELA. Science, let me go to math. Math is largely what? Algebra, number theory, understanding numbers. From 1st to 5th grade, you're learning how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide regular numbers. Then you look to learn how to do add, subtract, multiply, and divide decimals and fractions. Then you learn how to do what? Add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers. Then they introduce you to exponents and then radicals. Then from there, in the mix of that, they introduce you to geometry and different parts of geometry, which I'm not a big fan of how they introduce you to geometry. That's why we have our own STEM program, STEM art program. Then from there, you have what? I'll go into the other part. You have polynomials. And after polynomials, I go into functions. And then from functions, you have the graphs of nature. So, you know, you go into the quadratic graph, and you go, of course, you have your linear, first graph, first dimensional, whatever graph. Then you have your quadratic graph. Then you go into the different functions and different types of graphs and so on and so forth. And prior to that, before you go into functions, you probably cover logarithms and trigonometry. That's kind of the order. You know what I mean? That's the goal. And for high school, you largely stop at Algebra 1. So most of what I said at the end, you don't really need. And if you're taking a task test or the GED, you don't need most of that because it's based off of the most basic parts of just understanding how to do basic math with whole numbers, basic math with fractions and decimals, and being able to take a percentage of a number and understand how to take a percentage or ratio of most different type of numbers and in most situations. That's it. Data and measurement, and of course, equivalent statements, or how do we word it? It's like not equivalent statements, but it's like equivalent statements, But data and measurement goes along with measuring anything. You do that in sciences, you do that in cooking, you do that in clothing, fabrication, and being able to quantify what you say and understand it via a graph or something like that or whatever. That's it, basic. Then from science, you got what? I'm going into chemistry, physics, astronomy, earth science, living environment, and that's pretty much that. Health. Well, we got mental health, emotional health, etiquette, nutrition, safety, situation analysis, sicknesses and common illnesses, personal health and hygiene, whatever, that's basic, and this is basic. Then from art, we turned that art into expose, because we think that art is part of STEM and everything you do in STEM. So for art, we introduce children to art, Black art. So it goes from poets to musicians to architects to engineers to whatever, blah, blah, blah. And we introduce them, and we let them talk about them, we let them reflect on what they did, and it's a great way to get them to understand the different world of art. Then from there, you have STEM art. Teach them how to draw effectively for design and fabrication. So they can understand semantics, they can understand how to design, they can understand how to blueprints, they can understand how to make what they have in their head in the real world with their pen, and they can actually design it. STEM, we focus on electrical engineering, mechanisms, structures, coding, and coding, you should know there's like 4 subjects. Then we go into renewable energy, environmental sciences, organismal biology, and I think there's something else. And physical sciences, your child should be able to do push-ups, pull-ups, running, jumping jacks, squats, calf raises. They should be able to run at least a quarter mile, whatever the hell they call it. And they should be able to bike ride. They should be able to stand and defend. They should know how to throw a jab, a hook, duck, bob, weave, throw a side kick, front kick, and do a rollover, and be able to get pushed to the floor and be able to get back up, fight from the floor, kick from the floor, and know how to run and know how to dodge bullets.
Talk about it.
If we can go further, they should be able to recognize bullet sizes. You do a chamber class, how to recognize the different chambers of bullets, the size of bullets, the types of firearms that use the bullets. You know what I mean? We can go in with that one. You want to go on homeschooling?
Yeah, family. What's going on, man? You got down with a jack of all trades here, my brother Q. Definitely. You see the topic. We're talking about homeschooling. And remember, another reason why I even got connected with this brother was because of homeschooling. Like, I never met somebody that actually had their children not homeschooled. Not in public school. Like, he basically homeschooled them from birth and on. And I was like so amazed at that fact because I wanted to basically get into that realm. I wanted to really get into educating my child so he's not basically being educated by the system, being educated by the enemy, being educated by, white society. Because as you can see, right, everybody that is here, we have a whole bunch of people. Shout out to the moderators, shout out to the parents, to the volunteers that's in Ziax in the movement. Shout out to you, Sister Dimitri. Shout out to you, Sean. You know what I mean? Everybody, shout out to the students. What's up, Bree? You know what I mean? All the people that's the volunteers, our students, and things of that nature. We appreciate you all. And you guys are aware, and I'm sure your parents, and if you are a parent, you parents are aware of the fact of why you even thought of taking your child out of the school. Whether it was, having to forcibly have to vaccinate your child because you felt that was wrong and you felt like you didn't need to have to do that. Why should I have to inject something in my child for them to go to school to get an education? Or that the educational system wasn't just providing them with the needs that what the education that they need to actually sustain and be successful in life. Because we can see that with the educational system and the curriculum that's set up in those schools is leading our children to where the prison industrial complex is actually, we can see how the school is even laid out, just preparing them for that. Or, to being a 9-to-5 slave. They're not really teaching them business etiquette, teaching them things about credit, how to be financially, sustained when basically leaving school, if you go into college or whatnot, even though my personal opinion, I feel like college is a scam. think that's just another way for you to get in debt. You in college for a whole bunch of years, and then there's people that have master's degrees that still looking for jobs, and then you got people that never went to school and they have those same positions by just doing online courses and doing certain trainings, because the online courses changed the game when it comes to that. Back to the homeschooling, right? These are the things that we need to apply, because if you can't be upset when your child comes home to you like the enemy, or acting like far-fetched from how you would know them to be, because guess what? You're not the ones that's raising them. Literally. What's happening is that your child is now, if you look at the hours, think about it. If your child's going to school from 7 a.m. or they're there for breakfast at 7 a.m. or 8 o'clock, let's say 8 o'clock, and they're there till 3, right? Or then let's say they're after school from 3 to 6, right? They get home to you around 6:30, 7 o'clock. How much time or quality time are you actually spending with your child to actually get into their education, right? And this is like most of America, or even most of the world. If you're not really homeschooling, or parents that's not really involved into the education of their child, because that's very important. Oh. But yeah, that's very important, and it's imperative, because this is what's going to actually help, the Black community and actually instilling, because what's happening is that they're indoctrinating our children. They're the ones that's programming our children. They're the ones that's conditioning our children. We should be the ones, not necessarily, for lack of better words, we're saying conditioning, programming, and those words for a common grounds for you guys to understand. But we don't want to say that we're conditioning them, but or training. But the point is that we're educating them. We're extracting what's good from them, right, and making sure that they can soar in those skills, and also giving them advice, guiding them, right? Where we actually care. And it's also a family-based thing, right? Homeschooling means that you as a parent are the one that's solely involved in your child's education. Yes, we at Ziax Institute provide homeschooling services, educational services to homeschooling parents, right? Let me say that again. We provide educational services to homeschooling parents. So the parents that have their children inside of Ziax are homeschooling parents. So they're already parents that's homeschooling. We just provide educational services for them, right? Because we're working as a community. Remember what I say last night, family? We're stronger as a fist than a finger, right? Let's remember that. We got to stick together. We got to stay on it. We got to stay diligent, right? Yes, you agree. College is a straight scam. Fact, right? So remember, we need to make sure that we're educating our child or our children. This is imperative. This is so important, because when we send our children to them, what can happen now, right? They're coming home to you acting belligerent, they saying words that you like, oh, where did my child learn this from? Because remember, they are also inspired by their environment, people that they are around. So you want to make sure they're around people that's on that same frequency. You know what I'm saying? This is why homeschooling is so important. You know what I'm saying? And then now, I know a lot of people talk about the social aspect. How are they going to be able to communicate and have that social interaction with other children? Well, as Ziax, we've been doing the remote learning way before COVID hit. You know what I'm saying? That's why when it did happen, we was already prepared, and we saw the public school system just get knocked out while we was already booming. Everybody already knew about Zoom. We was already doing online schooling classes. We already had students in Ghana, Canada, all over the country, and all over the different states as well. California, Georgia, you name it, there's a student there, right? So, and they're online. And we also have educators and teachers online. Shout out to you, Mr. Robbins. Shout out to you, Miss Irene. Shout out to you, Mr. Dimitri. Shout out to you, Miss Miriam. We have a community of educators that is in the program that's actually educating the children as well. Educational services to the homeschooling parents, because the parents must be involved as well, right? Because there is their children that's being educated. And another reason why I even wanted to homeschool, because I wanted to make sure, when I saw this brother, when I saw Brother Q, and it's like when you asked their children, shout out to Julian Carter, hey, who's your teacher? How did you learn that? Most of the time, my dad, right? And they're watching him, be an entrepreneur, run the studio, run the school. And I'm like, that's amazing, right? You want you want your child to see you flourish, and you lead by example, so they want to implement those same kind of things in their own life. They ain't necessarily got to be a studio engineer or running a school, but just to see the drive versus, oh, my dad's going to work, they never home. You know, it has nothing to do with education. Like when they learning their ELA at first and all those other different subjects, and Marshall. You know what I'm saying? So like I definitely, that inspired me, even though I definitely already wanted to do it, but when I heard about the brother and I saw him doing it and I saw that leading by example, right? So that's how I kind of navigated into it, and I've been here ever since, 5 years strong, you know what I mean? And then now this is why homeschooling is so important. And now look what it has grown to. How many students did you start with, bro?
I think 5.
5, 6, and now we got damn near 200, So think about it. I think Penn State started with about 4 students back in whenever they started their college, and now look how many students they're educating now. You can do your own research on that, but you get the point, right? Start small and then it grows. You know what I mean? So that's what we're doing right now at Zyx. We're homeschooling. I did put the link in the chat if you guys want to find out some more information about homeschooling, because the state laws and if your jurisdictions, the laws and regulations apply differently in different states. So you can go on the website and then you can see everything lined up there. You can look at a whole bunch of things, because there's a lot of frequently asked questions that people ask. You guys could ask questions in the chat if you want, but we also do have an answer for all those frequently asked questions on the website to make it a bit easier. So it can also guide you in those ways. If you also just want to enroll now, if you want to donate.
Well, if you just got any question, you don't even got to come to the Zyx. If you just regularly want to homeschool, you got questions, you just hit us up. Leave a comment, and I'll definitely help you out.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't about you just homeschooling. Because there's a lot of people that's just homeschooling now. And look, our program is not going to be for everybody. So, and you still need to be able to provide a great education to your child. And so you need the key elements and make sure you have those elements lined up to get your child to be where you want them to be.
Agreed. And I think a lot of parents that are homeschooling do need to know the laws and regulations of how homeschooling works, especially in your state, regardless if you want to be at Zyx or not, because we do have a lot of information on that as well, and we do help parents, even if they don't want to necessarily be in the program, but you still do need to know those laws and things of that nature. Knowing about the quarterly reports, knowing when to send them in, knowing about the IHIP. Like, if you're a homeschooling parent and don't know about these things, it's the same way Q would say, you go on a visit, so you have an EIN. So you homeschool, so how you know about the IHIP? You're like, what? So these are the things that you have to know about if you're homeschooling. It's just getting around that. So we can help you guys. You can just hit us up, like Brother Q was saying. And man, this is very important. It's 2021. Zyx the movement. We moving, we pushing, we rolling. You know what I mean? We leading by example for the youth. I can't say any better than that, man. But we're gonna drop the link also for that the GoFundMe, so you guys can support still. Shout out to everybody that's donated still. We appreciate you, family. Did you guys see? Yeah.
You want to say that?
Now I was gonna ask if you guys saw the video. I was gonna say, I know Doctor dropped this video. I wasn't sure if they had it.
Y'all played at the beginning of the video. Yeah, make sure you drop a comment on the video. I left it at the beginning. I'm gonna put the link in there. Drop a comment. ASAP. We need that comment on my man's vid.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely just dropped something. Zyx the movement, music group. And now that we're bringing up music, we're gonna switch up in a little something. Jay-Z,
what's goody?
My man Jay-Z did it again, man.
I didn't even know he sold that.
People got mixed feelings about what Jay-Z did. He sold Tidal. well, not sold Tidal. He sold a major portion of Tidal to, I think, what's his name, Jack Dorsey, Cash App company. And not only did he do that, he just sold part of his liquor company to, I forgot what company, Hennessy or somebody, and he just increased his revenue, his profits, or his wealth almost by 40%. He went up from being worth $1 billion to now he's worth to 1.4, almost 1.5 billion dollars. He is connected directly to Cash App now. Cash App. If you ask me, I know a lot of people don't like what Jay-Z did. I think after watching Jay-Z, he is definitely one of the business moguls, if not to be respected or doubted, you know, and what he does is a little beyond the scope of what most people can even envision. And so I'm just going to shout him out. You know, what he did was dope. He's now worth almost $2 billion.
Brooklyn way.
You know, he's from up that way, not that far, and he's worth $1.5 billion almost now. If that's not worthy of an applaud, I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's definitely worth $1.5 billion right now. And he can put his hands on anything, like anything. He could turn your whack ass song or company or makeup line or studio or whatever the hell you think and make that an A1 business worth money and get it right to the point where it can be sold to the right investor and everybody leaves with a lot of money. That's what Jay-Z does, and he's doing it very well. He's done it with Roc Nation. He's done it with Rockefeller. He did it with freaking the Barclays Center. He's did it with the liquor company. He's did it with Tidal, and he's gonna do it again and within our generation. And Jay-Z will be surpassing Oprah Winfrey very soon. Mark my words. And his potential is still there. Let's not get it twisted, you know. So I'm not gonna get up there and be like he sold out black people. These are white corporations that brought him in as a face to help bring more money to the company. He did that. He helped make his people's money, and he left. That's it. Stop looking for black liberation for people who are not black liberators. It's just that simple.
He's not a businessman. He's a
businessman. It's that simple. So, like, you know, all that hate that's there, you know, I can see him immediately investing in cars, big technology. Hey, it's my baby's birthday. I can see him investing in big technology, cars, websites, cryptocurrencies in the next couple of years, media devices. I guarantee you he's going to be investing in one of those things. And so watch what he gets into, because he is a major mogul to be respected, and he is going to touch $2 billion in the next 5 years. Mark my word, I said it first. Maybe I didn't, I don't know what I said. But Jay-Z will touch $2 billion within the next 5, less than 10 years. So if you're too busy hating, if you've been hating on Jay-Z when he first touched $1 billion, and you're probably still hating on Jay-Z now that he got almost $2 billion, I guarantee you got nowhere near $100,000 in that time. And you probably lost a lot more money than you made. So let's stop worrying about pocket watching, and let's celebrate the success of a black man and his queen and him coming from the back of nowhere and going to anywhere. I am super proud of him. You know, anybody can ask anybody to do more, especially if you're not that person and you're not in their shoes or understand their plight. You know, and if you want to see people do more, you do more. It's just that simple. Stop crying, just do more. You know, and it's really just that simple. You know, I know we can care less about Jay-Z, but he is someone that is a prominent figure in our community, and he is definitely aligned with black success. And our community needs to see black success and understand it in different ways. I think sometimes, like, I've seen mad videos, people that's beating up on Jay-Z come out, he sold out black people, he sold out this, sold out that. He had the Illuminati, he's eating monkey blood and shit like that, and sacrificing tigers and shit.
Hey.
It's like, come on, Jay-Z. Like, are you serious? So, whatever. Don't know if Damo got something to add to that, but I think that's all I was gonna say to it.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, family. I'm not necessarily a biggest fan of Jay-Z or when it comes to that, but I do feel that, you know, he's definitely a big guy when it comes to business. Or somebody that the black family should look up to, just for the business model. You know, I mean, like, I can say the same for somebody like Mayweather. You know, I'm not necessarily a big fan of boxing, but I like his business model, his business work, how he moves and operates as a businessman. You know, so I can say the same thing for Jay-Z. Even though in his old days, like, you know, the big pimping days and all that, you know what I mean, is when he was in his prime, and even when he was spitting fast, like, I did like that Jay-Z. But I kind of just shifted away from like listening to that style of hip hop and kind of went to listen to more reggae. So that's just me, my personal opinion. So I kind of wasn't like staying in tune. But you know, you can't take away from the fact that he's a legend in the hip hop community, and the fact that he's worth $1.5 billion. it's there. So, and he's black, big lips, pause, and like, you know what I'm saying. You see the phenotype. You look like us. You know, yeah. I know people have a lot of speculations, conspiracy theories. You know, sometimes people call me a conspiracy theorist, you know, about him being an Illuminati and him, you know, all the signs and, you know, his queen, Beyonce, the whole family. You know what I mean? So, but hey, it is what it is. Like you said, hey, he's worth $1.5 billion. You can take the good. Hey, take the fiber, take the fruit, spit out the seeds. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't do no meat.
And last but not least, and I mean, I meant to put N more. But it's my queen's birthday, so I ain't gonna be up there all night and stuff. I'm definitely going live tomorrow. We going live. We gonna figure that out. But black men versus black women versus black men. Oh my goodness. I cannot stress enough the fact that this is some bullshit.
Big bullshit, man.
Big bullshit. Weirdo, lame, annoying, junior high school bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Guys, there's a whole feminist movement, and you got a whole movement where the guys mid-tile, men going their own way. Right? If just look at it this way, let's look at the science of the world. Men going their own way, feminists meaning women are staying over here. How do we reproduce? How do we procreate? How does people don't even gotta be LGBTQ. If the guys just going their own way and the women having their own feminist movement because they, you know, thinking guys, what happens then? You know what I mean? So it's like, this is the stuff that people are doing. There's groups and there's pages about all of this. You know what I mean? And it's like, what's the point? What's the purpose? You know what I mean? It's not making sense. I see the stress and the traumas, you know, that black men and black women are dealing with. You feel me? But I don't think it causes or should invoke, you know, men wanting to literally go their own way and just bash, especially black women. You feel me? And if you want to go outside your race, that's just a whole nother scene. You know what I'm saying? You got to really think about, you know, procreation and the longevity of your race, your gene, your genetics. You know what I'm saying? That's what you pass down. Once you cross that breed into that interracial, you losing that potency of that, you know, that carbon, that copper tone that you got inside of you, all that stuff. You feel me? So we got to be mindful and aware of all of that. So we can't just be quick to not even just point the fingers and blame, but now versus. Like, yo, we on the same damn team. What do you mean versus? Like, there's no black men versus black women. We are on the same team. That's right.
So how can we be versus each other? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So any guy thinking that way or any woman thinking that way, they're literally not on the team. Literally. So if that's the case, you go that way. Why even try to unify with people like that? Because literally, you don't want to be with a black one. You don't want to preserve the black family. And that's what the enemy, that's what the Caucasians, that's what the Mongolians, that's what the Caucasoids, that's what they've been here trying to break up from the beginning of all time. Break up that black family. Now you guys are kind of like coming in like Judases or agents promoting the same damn thing. Like, you know what? We're going to go our way. Black women are angry. Black women are stubborn. Black women are stush. Black women are this. I can't deal with them. Then you got the women. Oh, black men are angry. Black men, egos too high. Black men are non-emotional. Which I kind of knock you sometimes. Some of the things you guys are saying are true. Yes, granted. They are true. We need work. We need work, family. Literally. We need help. We need healing. Our people need healing. I'm a healer. But the healers need healing too. Right? It's a whole bunch of things. There's a whole bunch of layer of issues. And we are addressing those issues. There are people out here doing those things to lay paths for people to actually, go their pathway to wellness. Speaking of pathway to wellness, you go on my website, domojoat.com, and you can see our pathway to wellness program. See the logo. But bringing it back to the topic, YouTubers do that, right? I'm getting used to it now, right? You know what I mean? But bringing it back to black men versus black women family, we can't keep that going. We're on the same team, y'all. We got to understand that. So you in a relationship with your spouse, your significant other, you got to tell them when it gets into arguments, y'all on the same team, okay? So why are we even getting it? Yes, we're riled up. Yes, we're emotional. Yes, I'm upset. Yes, da-da-da. But look, we're on the same team, and we have a goal. We have a common mission. We have children. We have a business together. We have a house together. We have a home together. We have whatever it is. Same team, right? Now, even before y'all get into a relationship, and then you just already assuming and putting your thoughts on other black women because of what some black woman did to you, right? You can't necessarily do that. You can't let one spoil a whole bunch. I know it's kind of hard to do because of our emotions. Yes, energy and emotion. Yes, men are emotional too. And women, very emotional. But men are more logical. But still emotions that they plot in their ego, right? So, like I said, we all need work, right? But we got to be able to work with each other. Because if not, then we're just going to be doing the same thing that our enemies is perpetuating against amongst us. And then we're just going to keep that thing flowing. And then we're going to be literally contributing to our own demise, right? So we want to speak positivity. We see what's going on already in the community. So we can't have the black men versus black women thing going on. You know what I mean? So if people want to move that way, it doesn't make any sense for those kind of people to be linking up with people that do want to have black men and black women together, because it'll just be controversy. It'll be friction. It'll be debating all day because you feel this way and I feel this way, right? I mean, unless people can't put their emotions aside and you're just gonna keep trying to persuade and keep trying to turn you. It's like if I'm vegan and Q, he's eating meat all the time, and every time we're around each other, it's like, yeah, bro, you gotta eat some meat, man. I'm tired of you looking like this, bro. You looking at it. I'm like, yo, you need to stop eating the meat. Like and it's gonna constantly be friction. It's gonna be if we can't let our emotions be aside and just deal with those things, right? And clearly, if you look at these chat rooms and you look at the stuff, they're all emotional. They're all emotional. Everybody's in there yelling and it's just. Yeah, no good. I'm not in support of that. I'm in support of procreation. I'm in support of black power, black empowerment. And what is at the top of that when you look at black power or black empowerment? Black family, because you need the black family up top. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have queen, king, prince or princess, god or goddesses. You know what I'm saying? That is where it all starts. And then it just spreads on. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it was, but our ancestors did it. That's how we're going to do it. Because my ancestors was on top for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say, like I said last night, everything our ancestors did wasn't necessarily right. right? But that's what the things that we gotta look, use our discernment, and know what we need to do. But a lot of the things they did do was right that we're not even implementing. Because why? The powers that be didn't want us to. So that's why it wasn't in the curriculum for us to learn those things, right? Because they don't want us to know that part of history. They want you to stay in the victim mode instead of you knowing how you were a victor in ancient history, right? In ancient Kemet, right? And you bringing it back into the times when you were in Africa, Mansa Musa. I mean, it's so many different things, right? That our people, some people know, but there's a lot of things that people don't know still because of the indoctrination, because of them censoring a lot of the information that they give us and the curriculum that was given to us. So us not knowing those things and a lot of the scars and the trauma that we have built up inside of us, awakening from all the stress that we're dealing with as Black folks, PTSD, working, stressing out because you can't pay your damn rent and shit like that, and you taking your energy out on the woman, right? And the woman is being stressed out because she got to be in the house, she got to do all these things. It's 5 kids, she's on her menstrual, she's dealing with all these different hormonal imbalances. Both of y'all not eating right, and now y'all just right at each other. This is America, like literally. So this is what you got going on, and so it's just a recipe for destruction. I can't say anymore. Literally, it's a recipe for destruction, y'all.
Corny as hell. Time waster, cheap Twinkie filler. That's what it is, man. Unfortunately, a lot of people like fucking Twinkies. You know what I'm saying? And the reality that we have a world of people who are in love with Twinkies and can't get past the fact that it's killing them and it has nothing to do with being healthy. That's what we're dealing with on YouTube. So the YouTube content creators who tirelessly create content centered around Black men versus Black women feed the bullshit, knowing good and well damn that it's some bullshit. Then you got the people who are hurting like a motherfucker, who instead of finding and taking that same time they sit up there listening to the bullshit on YouTube, they're going to get help. They sit up and just sit in the comments, liking and sharing the bullshit. And it just circles and ciphers. And it just ping pongs back and forth. Black woman, you ain't shit. Black man, you ain't shit. Black woman, you ain't this. And so I'm trying, my people's time, Bleed One Media, Black First, all of us in this sector trying to make sure that Black women are represented in a positive way and our Black men are represented in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And the community respects relationships. There's a lot of hurt people out here, man. I ain't gonna lie. Ooh, turn them glasses up. There's a lot of hurt people out here. You know what I'm saying? And if you can't recognize that somebody's hurt when they start speaking, when they start discussing their ideas and their views, why you think like that? Why you feel that way? There got to be something wrong with you. Were you touched? You still mad that man cheated on you? You still upset that girl was sucking your brother, off or doing whatever she was doing? You got to get over that, B. That's the reality. You got to get over that. And if you don't get over that, you're going to continue to sit on Facebook or YouTube, wherever the hell you at online, pouring out bullshit. And it's just piling up. And it's whack. I'm saying that up front. You know what I'm saying? Ladies, I feel bad for y'all if y'all online making a bunch of videos about divesting and going with white people. Fellas, I really don't got no fucking love for you neither if you're sitting up there. And I feel bad for you too. That life puts you in such a space where you hate your own people.
Self-love, man. It.
Red pill rage. It sucks. With that being said, that's pretty much all I got to say on this topic. I really don't have nothing else to say. I got to buy a wifey or find something else to do. If you want to, leave a comment or add something else for to add to, if you got an idea you want to talk about, leave a comment. Message me, qbutter@gmail.
Oh yeah, Damo JOAT@gmail. Make sure y'all hit that thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, smash that like button, family. Stop playing around.
Ding.
Ding, ding, ding. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So
Feel me?
Gotta hit the buttons right there, somewhere right there, and connect, vibe, light, empower, inspire. Do whatever you can to continue the plight of Black liberation. You are what's needed to get us to the next stage. You, Black power.
We appreciate you, family, and make sure you go check out Dot's video, Dot One Shot Dot. They just dropped that video tonight. You know what I'm saying? Occupation. And we got the Zyx XMG music. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, subscribe, like, share, get it out. We appreciate all the love, all the support from both all of you guys. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. You watching the Level Up. So level up with us, family. Peace.